Good morning. We'll begin. Thank you for coming and welcome. Over the next few days, we are going to be covering some of the hottest emerging technologies, ranging from print electronics all the way through to wearable technology. For those of you who've been here in the past, I think you'll be really pleased this time just at the sheer growth of the event. We have over 2,500 people pre-registered, and we're expecting more to turn up over the next few days. We have around 200 exhibitors showcasing everything from materials all the way through to complete solutions, and some 210 presentations. But we've also been speaking to a lot of the exhibitors and presenters and attendees, and there's going to be many new announcements made during the show. So we hope you have a great show, and if there's anything we can do at IDTechEx to improve it for you, please don't hesitate to contact us. For those of you who come to the show on a regular basis, you'd probably noticed this time that we've added a few new topics and different conference tracks. And the reason why we've done this is that there's quite a good deal of overlap between these different technology sectors. And by bringing it together in one place, we can leverage the overlap in these supply chains. So a potential supplier is a user for another organization. And it gives you the chance to see the whole thing, from material supply and equipment supply right through to people making end products. It also saves you time because under one roof we have a large collection of the most important and leading companies in this field. And I think the thing that's most exciting is that all of these platforms serve as a mechanism into achieving many needs from many different vertical segments. The vertical segments shown here are just a few examples where technologies such as print electronics and energy harvesting are assisting. And they each represent enormous billion-dollar opportunities for companies here. So we hope at this event you'll leave with a great understanding of not only what the current status is and where it's all going, but also your opportunities in these fields. To give you some ideas to who is here at this event, we have attendees from 38 countries, and attendance is up, as I mentioned, by 25% from last year. If we look at the attendee by job function, we have people in research all the way up to CTO level. The majority of attendees are product managers, either people who are involved in owning platforms or people who own business units and are looking to use these new emerging technologies in those units. We have technology scouts and people involved in business development, and also a large number of CEOs themselves attending. Looking at it on the right by the attendees split down by value chain positioning, one thing we've really tried to achieve at this event isn't to make an event where you go to meet all your old friends. It's an event where you come to do business. You meet new partners and new customers. And so we're very much focused on the commercialization aspects of these technologies, and about a quarter of the audience represent end users, so companies selling as a business to consumers or integrators. And there's also a large number of people making devices, components, and we have everyone else included, from press through to materials and equipment supply. I'd like to briefly thank our lead sponsor this year, Novacentrix. And Novacentrix has supported us for many years, and we've grown the event as they've grown their business. They're a company focused on technologies and materials to enable printed electronics manufacturing. And they've got a great booth this year which will walk you through the whole printed electronics story, from material supply through to making hybrid or end solutions. They're also a great company to work with, and if many of you know Novacentrix, you'll I'm sure, agree with me. I'd like to thank our gold sponsors. So we have Heraeus in the form of Heraeus Precious Metals, who manufacture the Clevios PDOT polymers along with silver ink, and also Heraeus Nobolite. Linear Technologies, who develop analog integrated circuits. And Xenon Corporation, who provide high-energy pulsed light lamps and systems. Now, after the break, as we split off into the different topic tracks, IDTechEx analysts are going to give you a very detailed market and technology view as to exactly where we are with these different technologies. But in this keynote, I just wanted to whet your appetite, giving you one slide on each of the main technologies that we'll be covering, just to give you a snapshot as to where we currently are and some of the trends, but there'll be much more detail given in other conference sessions. So this is the slide on printed electronics to give you an idea as to where we are today. These figures are for 2014. And as you can see, there's a wide mix of emerging technologies right through to billion-dollar businesses created today based on printed or organic electronics. So OLED displays are a $16 billion industry, and the main trend there is to moving towards displays on flexible substrates, and right now they're on rigid plastic substrates as an interim step to becoming flexible. We have a strong market for conductive ink, which goes predominantly into the solar business for printing bus bars and fingers, but it's also being used for the electrodes around touch screens. And the market for sensors is predominantly due to glucose test strips, although there's a lot of change in that sector, including wearable technologies, which you'll hear about, that are coming in, which could replace some test strips going forward. But many of the technologies you'll also hear about are very embryonic today. They're very small businesses, but they're very exciting because companies are now putting them together to develop complete solutions, and you'll hear about many ecosystems and partnerships going on, and in the trade show you'll see what companies have achieved by working together to build complete solutions. But adding all of this up, the market in 2014 is around $24 billion if we include all these types of printed, flexible, and organic electronics. And of that, the value of the components, which are predominantly made by printing, is around $9 billion, moving to $15 billion 10 years from now. And if we look at how many are put onto flexible substrates today, it's around $6 billion moving to $24 billion in 2024. So we see a major driver in this industry as the move towards going to rigid plastic and then fully flexible substrates over the next 10 years. Then there's energy harvesting, and energy harvesting is, of course, linked in many ways to printed electronics because people are working on everything from printing solar to printing piezoelectric energy harvesters. This is the use of technologies to harvest ambient energy from light or motion or heat to power things. Many people are focusing on using it to power wireless sensors, but that's only a small part of the big picture. It's also going into cars today for things like regenerative braking to take waste energy, which would be wasted in the form of heat, and put that back into the power supply of the car. And you'll be hearing about all of these different options at the event. It's already fairly successful in the form of building automation for things like light switches used in hundreds of thousands of buildings around the world. And you can also get energy harvesting powered mouse traps through to thermoelectric radiator valves. In the industrial automation sector, it's been slower growth, but we now have some major system integrators, companies such as ABB, Schneider Electric, GE, who have launched energy harvesting powered wireless sensors. And we also see wearables as being a very strong driver for energy harvesting because power increasingly is a big issue for many wearable technologies. And so we see that driving the market for energy harvesting components to around $2.6 billion 10 years out from now. Then we have 3D printing. Around 5 or 6 years ago, there was no more than, say, a dozen 3D printer companies. Our analysts at IDTechEx, as of a few days ago, have profiled and tracked 208 3D printer companies today. And that's really because a series of key patents have been expiring, allowing a large number of new companies to get involved. Many are focusing around the hobbyist market, and that's been driving down costs for the printers and the materials themselves. However, we find that one of the strongest growth trends is work around 3D printing of metal production parts, and indeed organizations like GE are already using this in aircraft. And here the focus is on bigger build volumes, higher precision, and stronger parts. From a material perspective, there's a huge amount of opportunity. We're seeing a lot of material companies get involved, creating a diverse range of materials, including ceramics, graphene, and silicone, which can be 3D printed. But there's still a lot of work to be done and a lot of opportunity to gain. In terms of how that links in with printed electronics, while 3D printed electronics is pretty much at its infancy, there is increasing work going on, and you'll be hearing at this show about the very latest work from the leaders who are working on 3D printed electronics, along with many others, such as Boeing, who are already using 3D printing today. For wearable technology, this is a really interesting sector for us to watch. There will be sectors which will become heavily commoditized. There will also be many novelty peaks when we look at things like smart watches and fitness bands, but overall it is a strongly growing market. But we think the strongest growing sector will be in the healthcare and fitness side, given the huge needs there are. For example, helping elderly people stay in their homes for much longer will be possible and enabled thanks to wearable technology. There's a huge opportunity here for many new technologies, including things like printed electronics and energy harvesting, because in the main today, a lot of the wearable technologies are conventional bits of electronics on rigid PCBs which you stick on your wrists. They're bulky, and they really need to become invisible. They need to become either embedded in things you already wear, or they need to be in a much more convenient form factor to use. And you don't want to keep plugging them in every night to charge them, because you'll probably stop doing that after a few months. And so that's an enormous opportunity for printed electronics, energy harvesting, new types of sensors, and so on. And then we have the Internet of Things. Now, I think one of the best things and worst things about the Internet of Things at the same time is that it's so broad. It's open to huge different views of definition, and as a result, we have headlines around the world giving very different opinions as to what it will be. The way we deal with that at IDTechEx is that we really break it down into each of the main application areas and also the main types of wireless systems that are being used. And so at a very high level on this slide, we show that there's different aspects to it. There's the Internet of People, so that's laptops and cell phones you already have. That's a mature market. It's very well understood. We then have the Internet of Things, which are nodes with an IP address, which is what we class as IoT devices. And these are going into many different types of applications, but it's still fairly embryonic. And then there's a lot of legacy systems out there, systems which won't be replaced with nodes with an IP address. Some of them are very cheap, such as passive RFID tags with their own numbering system, but they are maybe connected to the internet by the backhaul. But in 2020, we see the market for IoT devices, in other words, devices with an IP address, being about $24 billion in value, with just under 2 billion nodes. But that will coexist with many other types of wireless sensing and control systems, including RFID. And this year alone, 7 billion RFID tags will be sold, 3 billion of which are going into clothing. But by 2020, it will be 37 billion tags at much lower price points, and therefore about $21 billion. And our presenters over the next few days are going to go into much more detail about all of these things, including, showcasing where the hype is, because in a lot of emerging technologies, there is quite a bit of hype, and so we try and add value by giving you the real view as to where we are. I'd like to finish off just by sharing, I think, one point with you, probably the most important point for you to take away, I hope, from my presentation. It's based on, our analysts at IDTechEx tracking emerging technologies for 15 years since we were founded. And no matter what the technology we've looked at is, we've found that when it comes to commercializing these, far too often the work is engineering-led rather than product design-led. So, I think unless you're either trying to replace something like for like OLEDs versus LCDs, or you're trying to fix a problem such as replace ITO with other forms for large area touchscreens, we have found that the companies that tend to be successful develop complete products and solutions. And I think this was put very well to us by one end-user company, so a business-to-consumer company with sales of $60 billion, who said that what they're really looking for from the industry, working things from people who know what they want before they know it themselves. And so I think this remains still one of the biggest challenges, but also opportunities in many of the sectors we'll be looking at. There's a need for system integrators and for companies to put things together. And where people have done it, they have been in the main successful. Examples include Nest. There is really no new technology that went into that at all. It's just they put together a complete solution, and it was the solution offering that people wanted. We have very high volume products, things like the Duracell battery tester, again, is a complete solution. At its peak, was selling over 2 billion units a year. And others, for example, Kent Displays, putting together the boogie board, created a complete device as opposed to just trying to sell a display component. The way that we are going to try to help with that and try and push forward solutions rather than all different disparate components is that at this event we've tried very hard to focus on end users presenting because we feel that gives a really important reality check as to what they need and also what they're doing to give some insights as to what they're looking for. In the trade show theatre, we have Demonstration Street, which is a large collection of working products. So you can see what's out there. It's by far the world's largest collection of printed electronics-based products, for example, in one place. And there you'll see many new things this year, including things like smart clothing from DuPont and many other products from other people. We also have Manufacturing Street in the trade show theatre, and this is where you can see products being made, and you'll be able to take away products with you that work. And we've worked with many exhibitors and companies to develop samples for you to keep, because we think that's very important, so you can actually play with them, you can take them home and show them to colleagues, and hopefully they will get your ideas going as to how you can use these technologies. So here's a list of some of the companies involved, and there are many more, and some of the samples are in your bag, others you can pick up at their booth, and we'd like to thank all of them for their involvement. Just a few other points before I hand over. In order to maximize your productivity of the event, we have launched an app around the event. We didn't want to launch an app for the sake of doing it. We wanted to do something useful, and I think we really have got a useful tool for you here. You can go to the Google Play Store or iTunes Store and download it now. Just search IDTechEx. And the benefit of downloading it and using it is that you can connect with other attendees, so you can productively find people you want to meet at the show, and with 2,500 people, hopefully this will make it easy for you. You can also schedule the sessions you want to see, receive event updates, and look at the whole floor plan and the exhibitors. And the more people that use it, the more people that you can connect with, so we encourage you to download that. You can also follow the event highlights on Twitter. If you go to twitter.com/IDTechEx and follow us, you'll be able to see everything that's going on and the new discoveries being made. And as you learn new things, please do feel free to tweet about them using the tag IDTechEx so others can pick that up. And finally, I'd just like to finish off by just telling you a bit more about IDTechEx itself. So as you know, of course, we're host of this event, but it's part of our services on providing business intelligence to companies. Whether you're looking for mergers and acquisitions, you're looking to grow your business, your technology scouting, you're looking for new opportunities with what you already have in other industries, we and our great analyst team, sort of assist you in your efforts. We spend a lot of our time going around the world, meeting companies, learning what's going on. We feed all of this back into helping companies understand the technologies, what the market opportunity is, and how to best position themselves and provide introductions to companies that they can partner with. So if you have any questions about how we can help you, please don't hesitate to approach us at the booth. But even separate to that, you're paying good money to be here. We want to make sure that you leave with a great understanding of all these technologies that will be aired. And so all our analysts are here, most of whom are PhD level educated. And if you have any questions about the markets, the technologies, and want to understand how it's relevant to you, please don't hesitate to approach any of us. We'll be at our booth, or for any logistics questions, approach us at registration desk. We're here to help. So this will be the format for the agenda this morning. The next three speakers we've chosen because they'll be talking fairly broadly about how they're using many of these different emerging technologies and where they're up to with it. So we have one of the world's largest consumer electronics companies, Samsung, discussing everything from sensors to OLEDs. Then Adidas wearable sports electronics, followed by Jaguar. After that, the trade show will open, and the trade show has been opened by the former president of Fairchild Semiconductor, Vijay Ulal. And then following the break, this conference will split into several tracks where you'll hear from IDTechEx analysts giving you the market and technology progress update, followed by key end users giving you their view as to what they're doing in those different technology sectors. So we hope that format's useful, and please do provide us continuous feedback.